I am presenting on automating business processes in ServiceNow. Before I get started, I'll just kind of briefly provide an overview of the ServiceNow platform and kind of what we're going to talk about today. So, the ServiceNow platform is a development platform that provides workflow driven solutions, service delivery, change management, IT service management, and so on, to remove inconsistencies and bottlenecks and focus on providing consistent and predictable outcomes. And that's really the last kind of salesy pitch that I'm going to give about the ServiceNow platform, because that's not what the presentation is about. What I do want to talk about today is customer stories, groups that we've worked with in the university and not only in UTO, but outside of UTO, and talk about some of the success cases, some of the stories, and the journey that we've gone through with them, and kind of the process that we went through to improve how they do work. So this was in another session as well, but this is kind of a design thinking, agile and lean approach to how we do a lot of our work. And so we take bits and pieces of this and we share it with our customers. One thing that's really important here and kind of goes along with all the success stories and all the stories that we have today is an iterative approach and continual service improvement. So this kind of cycles of realizing that something's not right and then kind of revisiting it and looking at new ways to do things and how we can improve. And sometimes that's changing process, sometimes that's looking at the tool and looking at new features and new options and things like that. So, and that's something we're very open to. And I think that's kind of goes along with some of these stories. So the first one, business and finance IT, and they are using Service Catalog and Change Management. We have some quotes here from James Nichols and Anson Lee. So business and finance IT started using the platform in 2014, shortly after our go live. So that was very early in our ServiceNow journey. Previous platform Parature lacked features and was not very flexible. There was a lot of manual fulfillment using email or multiple products. And because of that, there was low visibility in reporting features to kind of know what was going on for customers to be able to track their requests and things like that. And then also for management to be able to see kind of where things were at and the status and also just volume, general volume of requests. And then in 2019 and 2020, they needed a change management solution. And so we onboarded them into the change management tool in ServiceNow. All right, so one of the things that we did is we took kind of a continual service improvement and a very collaborative approach to helping the business finance IT group. So we actually onboarded not only their IT group, but their development and also their project management teams. Over time, I think they started with one form, just kind of like a one form to rule them all. And over time, over that 5 year time frame, we built 5 custom forms, optimized workflows to meet the changing business needs, and then improved the reporting capabilities. And then this last one is just kind of something that we were in a meeting and they said, hey, it would be really cool if we could just update assets in ServiceNow from our cell phones because we're out in the field, we're responding to service requests. And so we were able to deliver a portal page that was mobile enabled. Not perfect, but it met the need. And so that was just like a quick win, something that we were able to kind of put together in a meeting. So here's a quick example of their kind of growth in service catalog and the breakout of the several forms that they have for all of their different groups. And again, this kind of started as one form with a lot of drop downs that the users had to navigate through. And we since kind of worked with them over a couple of years to kind of break them out and define their services, take more of a portfolio approach, and kind of build out the service catalog so that their customers had more options and could really target the teams that they needed for support. All right, and this is just a quick view of that mobile interface that we created for them for updating assets. And then a few quotes from James and Anson. The team is really good at listening to ideas and almost always saying, yeah, that's doable and we can help. They have a good understanding of capabilities of the platform and willing to potentially leverage those capabilities even if new to UTO. And I think that's really key. That's something we really try to do is not necessarily build exactly what's asked for or try to find out what you want to have built, but really try to understand the problem, because the ServiceNow platform is huge and there's so many things that we can tap into, and it's changing constantly. They come out with a new version every 6 months, and we're always looking at those tools, those updates, and trying to find the best way to leverage the new tools to solve problems. And then the next one, we implemented a change management process using ServiceNow that closely mirrors the UTO process, but has a few customizations needed for a specific business model. The team worked with us to put those in place and then work through testing and implementation of them. We now have a process that meets our needs and is properly auditable. So this was from an audit finding, and we were able to jump in and really help them out. I see Steve is on here, our change management process owner, and he was also involved. So again, it was very collaborative. We wanted to kind of mirror the UTO process, but we also needed to customize it for the business and finance needs. And so we kind of took an architecture approach where we looked at how do we have like kind of the workflow, the back end of this stay very similar to the UTO process. So there's a lot of consistency in how the system handles change management, but then put a front end on it that really met the business and finance needs. And that was kind of our approach to delivering that. And then if you have any questions, or if you want me to touch on anything as we go through some of these stories, feel free to put it into the chat. So the next one, UTO Analytics. This we worked in service catalog, reporting, and customer experience with Dixon, Kristen, and Bob. Kind of this story starts with the move from Oracle to Redshift and retiring forms.asu.edu, which took quite a while. If anyone remembers forms and that kind of experience, they were transitioning the data warehouse from Oracle to Redshift, and there was an opportunity to reduce friction for customers trying to get access to ASU data. Old forms process was clunky, and folks had to connect to VPN, and there was lots of steps in that process. You can read the quote. There was just a lot of steps, and there was multiple systems involved. So kind of similar to what we worked with business and finance on the Parature side, of multiple systems being involved that were all kind of disconnected. And one of the things, we looked at was, instead of integrating those different systems, we kind of took the best parts and features that they liked and merged it into the ServiceNow platform, so everything was in one place. And that really helped with some of the reporting features that they needed, and the visibility. So the solution was one form instead of multiple, that's driven by a configuration table of all the different data areas. They were not off on their numbers. There's been 1,711 total requests from the reporting data access form. And I believe that's just in the last year and a half or 2 years. And the approval and provisioning process is completely automated. And then there's also a fallback built into the workflow that if at any point the automation fails, the team can jump in, they're automatically notified, and they can jump in and kind of guide the workflow the rest of the way for the customer. In this, we also collaborated with the Edna team. So Edna team was involved, ServiceNow, and the analytics team to kind of build this automated solution. And I think this was a quote from Dixon: "We don't have the forms.asu.edu turnaround data, but it was much longer than 3 days. Right now, the median turnaround time is less than 3 days for a data access request. And in most cases, if the automation is successful all the way through, it's just a matter of minutes once the approvals are in place." All right, and Melissa, and I see Melissa's here with us for the session. For Melissa's team, messaging collaboration, as you all can probably imagine, the demand for collaboration platforms and support significantly increased during the COVID-19 pandemic. Last year, leading up to that, there was some, manual fulfillment processes in place, multiple teams involved in the fulfillment processes. There were some issues with, human error when resolving tickets and documenting and working with customers. And they needed to quickly add service offerings to the catalog because if you're not aware, Melissa's portfolio grew a lot over the last year. We've taken on some new products, and we're using some products like Zoom a lot of different ways now, and it really needed to scale. So one of the things that we worked with Melissa, it's actually not in the ServiceNow platform. We met with Melissa and realized that the way that we were kind of collecting information to build catalog items and service offerings in the platform, it was kind of daunting. There was a lot of work to be done in order to gather the information that we needed to start the builds. And so we worked with Melissa to come up with, instead of an item by item approach, we looked at how do we provide a portfolio owner a way to kind of define their entire portfolio at once. And then Susie, one of our catalog developers, Susie Dowie, she helped kind of facilitate that and gathering all the requirements in one document that represented the entire portfolio, and then build them out in chunks and release them into production where multiple items were going out at once. And so this is an example. Yes, it's in Excel. It works for now. And this is kind of a starting point. You'll see later in the presentation that a lot of the things we develop actually start as spreadsheets. They're just spreadsheets or some type of document. And then once they're kind of solidified and we know all the data requirements and the workflow, we start to move it to ServiceNow. So we're very much looking at moving this into ServiceNow, but we collaborated on this portfolio document. And I think there's a few people on the call now that have probably received this template because we are using it across the entire platform and for all of our customers for catalog requirements, catalog builds. We also have Lucid chart templates. I think Melissa created some of these. I know I created a couple. So we have Draw.io and Lucid chart templates for workflows to kind of help get people started. And we provide some of those templates and just examples to our customers. So here's an example on the right-hand side. There's just some numbers to show the different products that Melissa and her team support and how many offerings, forms, and just content items, which can redirect to documentation, self-service help, and things like that, that we've kind of put into the ServiceNow platform. I think before before the last 12 months, there was probably about a quarter of content in this one area, this one category, and it's just grown significantly. And then one project that we did work with Melissa's team on is automating Office Microsoft 365 licensing, Dropbox account request, and Slack workspace creation. And that was also in collaboration with the Edna team. And then our next project, and this one's a little bit different. So the first few were really focused on Service Catalog and Service Catalog automation. This one, we worked with Next Gen Network for custom application and reporting. So this is a custom application. And to do that, we really have to start from scratch. We do have kind of a development platform, a developer environment, but with a custom application, we're starting from complete scratch. So we worked with Darlene Green and the NGN team. And this started in the spring of 2019 during the handoff from CenturyLink to High-Tech. There was really no list of operational projects, whether completed or in flight. The existing tools lacked the ability to track project assignments, track action items, facilitate communication with customers, manage equipment inventory, and lacked on-demand reporting capabilities. This is the document we started with. So again, a spreadsheet. It was, they called it the single pane of glass. As you can see, this is just the first, I think, 7 rows of, or 8 rows of the spreadsheet, and it was it's much longer. And you can see that there's like updates and comments. It lacks kind of the historical view of some of these comments and milestones and updates. It's very flat. And as you can imagine, if as you give more and more people access to edit the document, it becomes more difficult to manage. And you're kind of constantly cleaning up and moving things around, and that can become an issue. So we worked with the NGN team, and again, this one was very iterative. We started with a minimum viable product. We built out just a couple of tables, a project table with just a few fields from this single pane of glass, and we kind of just mirrored this Excel doc into one table in ServiceNow in one form. And as you can see on the left, it's been probably about a year, I think, or a little bit more. We started with just the projects module on the left-hand side, and we've since added project tasks, purchase orders, project events and milestones, risks. We added a calendar view so they can see everything in a month-by-month view and where the projects overlap. And then we also provided some dynamic modules to show my active projects, so ones where the current logged on user is involved, my active tasks, project tasks, where people can go in and just focus on their tasks and not have to see the big view, like the single pane of glass, for example. And then some in platform dashboards as well as some dashboards in the from the data warehouse through Tableau. So one of the things we did with this application, as we got closer to the end, we were able to build custom APIs to extract a lot of that data, or allow the data warehouse to pull that data from ServiceNow so that they could build Tableau dashboards for the executives and anyone that's not working in the ServiceNow platform day to day. And a couple of quotes from that. I really like the one in the middle. This is something I share with my team often. You know, the hope for better information, the hope for more control, for a better process, the hope to work from a tool and not from a spreadsheet, and the hope for a better way. And I think that was kind of the goal as we went through this iterative process and kind of building from this MVP, this spreadsheet kind of model to what it's become today. Before we open it up to the SOAR analysis, just kind of to come to a close here, after going through all those stories, I'm not going to go into the back end of ServiceNow and how all that was developed, but more so from the customer stories. You know, we have an opportunity to use the platform to solve a lot of problems across ASU. One of the things that's a little bit challenging for us is kind of scaling out the skill set and the knowledge of the platform. We have some opportunities here for app engine licensing, which would allow for distributed development, to have more people develop in the platform and to build their own solutions. And so we want to share knowledge and solution design at scale and empower groups to deliver their own solutions, whether that be in service catalog or custom app development. So I'm going to post our SOAR analysis link here.
So you all should be pros at this by now. I think for most folks, this is probably your third session of the day. Please feel free to jump in and get started for those where maybe you came just for this session because you were so excited to hear about ServiceNow processes. I'll go through very briefly the idea of the SOAR analysis. So in the SOAR analysis, we want to fill in strengths. So what do you see as the strengths of the current processes? What strengths did you see in these stories? What's currently available? What opportunities do you see? So opportunities might be looking into the future and saying, oh, I've got a process that I could use some help with automating, or I know of a process where it could really benefit from ServiceNow. Looking toward what might be able to be leveraged more about the ServiceNow platform and the process automation that we heard Chris talk about. And then our aspirations are looking toward the future. So what's the preferred future aspiration? What do we care deeply about and aspire to impact? And then results. So our results are more tactical, measurable, something that's a little bit more like what can we see? So how do we know that we're succeeding? What are those success metrics? What does success look like? What does it look like when we have implemented some of those places in the opportunities and the aspirations? So what are those end external outcomes? And don't stress too much if you're not sure. If you have something to say and you're not sure what bucket it goes in, don't stress. Just make sure that it gets out there somewhere, and we can always move things around later if needed. But what's most important is that we hear your ideas, that we get your ideas out there, and that Chris and team are able to see all of those opportunities. One other thing I want to mention is when Chris and I were talking about this session, one thing that he really wants to be able to do is follow up with folks. So if you have ideas for services or for areas where you might want to leverage ServiceNow, please feel free to put it in the sheet, but please put your email in parentheses there so that he can reach out to you following this session and follow up on some of those opportunities that you see. I already see all kinds of folks putting ideas in the SOAR analysis. This is great. Thank you, everybody.
Do we have any questions in the chat, or anyone want to unmute their mic and ask any questions? I know I kind of went through some of those stories really quickly, but if anyone's interested in unpacking one of those a little bit more, I'm open to it.
So Chris, I just have a quick question. Like on these projects, I know, like you said, you have 15 minutes, but what's like the time to market, I guess, the time from start to finish? Every project is different, but if you just kind of give me an example, that'd be great.
It depends. but every product is different. So it does really depend. Service catalog, we've been able to kind of shorten that release significantly, especially in the case of like what we were doing with Melissa. Melissa really helped us and put together everything that we needed in her portfolio. She had all of her services documented. She had, she went through and provided some of those workflow templates that we needed from like Draw.io to get started. And I think our best sprint, Susie built what, Melissa, like 10 or 12 catalog forms in one sprint, which was 2 weeks.
Yeah, I think it was more than that. It
Crazy.
was
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah. So we
Yeah.
used to do maybe like 2 or 3 catalog items a sprint across the whole team.
Mhm.
And so now we're able to get and again, a lot of it has to do with the collaboration. It's
Mhm.
how much time we have, not only from the development side, but with the service owners to invest in doing all the pre-work to get that out. So I think altogether for that entire set of items, it was probably about a month, probably 2 sprints, including Melissa's time.
Well, the changes on the Zoom forums themselves have been very helpful because I've been barking at Melissa, we need this, we need that, we need this. And so it was, she let me know it all changed. I was like, oh my God, this is the best thing ever. So, I mean, I know you guys, I know Melissa's team feels the improvement in the efficiencies, but us on the unit side, we also feel the improvements in efficiencies. And so it really, I just appreciate all the work you guys are doing to improve the service side of things. It's really helpful.
Yeah, thank you so much. I will add too that with the NGN project management, because we were working from that really flat spreadsheet, that was kind of our focus for the MVP. So I think that went to production in about 3 weeks. And then everything else that you saw on the left-hand side, other than that first top module that said projects, which was just a copy of the spreadsheet, everything else was added over, I think, a 4-month period. And it was very iterative. They would use the tool, they would use the tables and the forms, and then provide feedback. And we would just kept putting more and more stuff in the backlog for the next sprint and releasing all those components over like a 4 or 5 month time period. Yeah. And that worked really well for them and for us.
Other questions? I see some really good ideas in opportunities. Automate standard equipment purchasing process for new hire equipment. See another comment about ensuring the visibility of dashboards and automation that's already been created that can be used and leveraged by other departments.
Oh, I like this one. ServiceNow knowledge base with Amazon Kendra. I haven't heard of that.
Does anyone, can anyone tell us more about Amazon Kendra and maybe some of the opportunities there?
Yeah, please.
If our Amazon Kendra idea generator at any point wants to hop off mute, that would be great. And if not, that is okay too.
So for Amazon Kendra, there's a little learning curve, but it can be used with the, let's say, knowledge base to offload it into the AWS database and use machine learning on it to build a content menu.
Oh,
It's a start. It's a start, but collecting like 15,000 entries and just using machine learning to run on that.
yeah, that sounds
Interesting.
really cool.
So does that help with being able to connect people with the right forms and right information and right knowledge base articles?
That's correct. That's the objective, to start with knowledge base, then work your way up. But it's what you were doing with your process too. On one of the slides I saw, you had something for Melissa,
Mhm.
and you use a platform or use the Excel spreadsheet for that process. Okay, all right.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's something similar to that.
yeah, portfolio
Excellent. Thank you.
Yeah.
definition. Yeah.
But I came across it while I was going through some information, and I found it interesting and something may be important for this topic.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really like this one too. The opportunity, ensuring visibility of dashboards and automation that has already been created so it can be used and leveraged by other departments. That is definitely something that we've already started putting together a list of our current integrations, and also kind of listing out the feature sets for those, so that people know what the capabilities are when it comes to like our data warehouse APIs and Jira integration, Slack integration, and things like that.
Speaking of Slack integrations,
Yeah.
I know that the OC War Room, they create channels with their incident numbers. Are those done via Slack or via ServiceNow? And does the data communicate between the two platforms?
Yes, they do create them manually now. We do have the code in place and the app to start automating that, but we have not done it yet.
So would it be possible to like have a Slack conversation and then turn that into an incident, have that conversation go into the ticket?
Yep, absolutely. Yep,
That's something we might want to look at in our new service that we're providing for the university and the ECs.
Oh, excellent. Yeah. I actually don't see who's speaking, but please, yeah, reach out to me so we can talk about that.
It's me, Roger. We
Oh,
talked
Roger.
about this
Hey,
before.
yeah. Oh, yeah. Awesome.
We talked about it before, but we didn't get into whole detail. I think we need to, as we progress this service, we need to visit that because it'd be really beneficial, not only for us, but that's a tool that the EC can use when one of their agents needs to get something out of Salesforce and into ServiceNow. They can do that via Slack conversation. So.
Yeah, and I know it's something Melissa wants to do as well. And with our last upgrade, we now have access to what's called interaction records. And they work really well with platforms like Slack and Zoom, where you can take an interaction from another tool and then bring it into ServiceNow as an interaction ticket, and then change that to either a service request or an incident, depending on what the need is.
Oh, that's awesome. We're going to have some conversations in the future, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, tell me when you're ready.
We still got to stand up our first service yet.
Oh,
but
yeah.
We definitely want, that's something that we want to look in down the road, Melissa.
Yes.
I think this is going to be a really good tool to move things along smoothly, not only for the customers, but for our stakeholders as well. So
No, I agree. We have a lot of stuff that we're doing in Slack that's not getting tracked or counted anywhere. So I would love to be able to get that into ServiceNow.
Yeah, it would be awesome to be in a conversation with somebody and to just create a ticket out of it. Now we have data on that, so that would be awesome.
Yeah, I've been bugging Chris for that for a long time.
All right, well, now you have somebody else to help you bug him.
Yeah.
All right.
When you all get your proof of concept going, you'll have to do some kind of presentation, because I know other folks are interested as well. It's job security, Chris.
Yeah, absolutely. I like this one too. Computer hardware warranty expiration 6-month notice to the IT team. That's actually something really easy to do in the ServiceNow platform, and I know we are pulling warranty expiration from Dell, and I think it's also coming in from Jamf from Apple. So yeah, that's definitely something that we can do.
Got to see if you can do it from Microsoft. There's more and more Surface devices showing up on these campuses now, you know?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Are there any processes that folks have in their heads where they're thinking, well, I'm not sure if that's a ServiceNow candidate or not? You can unmute and bring those up. We can workshop those together and talk through those. Or any other thoughts, questions that are out there?
Around ServiceNow, this is Eric Dover, and I can talk to Chris more about this, but joining forces with facilities and seeing how we might be able to recruit them into the facilities portion of ServiceNow could be a huge game changer, because so much of what IT relies upon is facilities and vice versa. So having a scope of each other's projects and activities in one system would be amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree.
Actually, Chris and I have actually had a few discussions about that over the last year. So definitely something we got to get moving forward on.
Planned power outage table, right? Planned power outage table.
Well, then we got to bring in SRP and APS, but sure, we'll bring them in.
Looks like we're heading back, but thanks so much, everyone, for
Thank you all.
participating, and thanks